Hello and welcome to a new episode of Vets and Beer. Right now at the start of this episode, we've actually got some breaking news for you guys. NFL Commissioner Rodger Goodell has actually been caught for rigging NFL games this postseason. After a weekend of referee calls that had many NFL viewers rewinding, rewatching plays, and posting their findings to social media, NFL Commissioner Rodger Goodell has been caught in his biggest scandal to date. Following the overwhelming amount of video evidence posted to Twitter and Facebook of referees deliberately missing calls, Goodell felt the pressure to address the accusations on Tuesday morning in a meeting with the NFL owners and media. Many of you have seen the video posts on Twitter, Goodell began his statement today. Our viewers posted videos of missed calls and blatant favoritism, claiming the games were fixed or rigged so that the Eagles and the Chiefs could advance to the Super Bowl this year. After reviewing the video evidence from @BurrowBetweenDsNuts and @Mrs. Jimmy G, it has become clear to me that I can no longer hide from the truth. I now must take full responsibility for my actions. I did it. I instructed our officials to ensure the outcomes of the 2022 postseason NFL games. I would also like to take this time to apologize to one of our players in particular, as he tried to shine light on the incident just a couple of weeks ago. Joey Bosa was fined after claiming that the refs often go back to their locker rooms and laugh about screwing over individual players. Joey was telling the truth. In fact, I often FaceTime the refs while they're doing it. It's hilarious. Not only did we call Joey Bosa a loser, but we also openly mocked his gigantic nose. In fact, I just got off the phone with Chargers owner Dean Spanos, and we agreed that next season we could sell more seating if we let fans sit on Bosa's obnoxiously sized nostrils. It was a good idea too, because Spanos told me those seats instantly sold out, and it's the first time in NFL history that a seating section of the stadium was bought exclusively by women. If you haven't figured it out by now, that entire segment was completely in jest. The NFL is not rigged. Just because your favorite team lost doesn't mean the NFL pre-decided who was going to win. Now I know, I saw all of your videos, okay? I mean, not all of them. I don't have enough time to listen to all of you morons, but I watched some of your videos, okay? And I saw the same things that you were trying to point out to me. Yes, there were missed calls. Yes, there were times where you could pause the video and you'd see a referee looking in a direction that, hey, they should have probably picked up this call. They probably should have seen this holding. They probably should have done this, should have done this, should have done this. You did that from your living room with a remote in your hand. The referees on the field don't have a remote in their hand. You caught a split second where a ref's head was turned in a certain way. That doesn't mean his head was there the entire time. That doesn't mean he was looking this way the entire time. That doesn't even mean that his eyes were on what you think his eyes were on. Just because his head is this direction, that doesn't mean that's where his eyes are. His eyes could be anywhere else. The reason that in recent history people have suddenly started to say that the NFL is rigged and they've started to come up with all these wild, crazy accusations is because now we have DVR. And now we can sit there and we can pause live TV and we can rewind and we can play in slow motion and we watch all these instant replays that are all in slow motion, and it's being broken down for us in a way that we can see all these things that happened really fast in live action the first go around. We see them slowed down. We see them to a level that the human eye would not actually catch. It's obnoxious to think that the NFL is rigged. And work this out for me. If they were rigging the NFL, how come they would rig it so that the championship games were played between Kansas City, who's a small market, Cincinnati, who's a small market, Philadelphia, who's a small market, and I'll give you the San Francisco's a big market. But if it's rigged, how come San Francisco's not going to the Super Bowl? And if it's rigged, how come a week earlier, both New York and Dallas, huge markets, were bumped out of the playoffs? And if it's rigged, how come a week before that, Los Angeles, another huge market, was bumped out of the playoffs? There's no advantage to the NFL being rigged for these smaller markets to make it to the Super Bowl. That just doesn't make any sense. Some of you say obnoxious things like, oh, well, it's for the storylines. It's because it's a good storyline and they can sell the story all week. You realize every single team has at least 10 storylines I can give you right now. Every team has a storyline. And any team that makes it to the Super Bowl, that's a storyline in and of itself. Because over the course of an NFL season, so many things happen. If the Broncos would have made it to the Super Bowl this year, there would have been a storyline of, while Russell Wilson left teams, it really was Pete Carroll that was the problem. He overcame all these obstacles, having to leave the city he loved to go to a new city. Now he's bringing them a championship. There'd be 10 million fucking storylines with that. If Geno Smith would have made it to the Super Bowl, he's been good this whole time. The Seahawks finally gave this guy a chance, and oh my goodness, maybe he could have taken another team here. I guess this just shows that you should give people second chances. Second chances really do matter. Dreams do come true. Those types of things would have been said. If Brock Purdy would have made it, it would have been, wow, this is the most impressive rookie ever. It goes on and on and on. Every fucking team has storylines. So it's not about the storylines. It's not about the money, because the marketing isn't there. So maybe your team just lost. Did you watch that game? I watched that game. I watched the Bengals-Chiefs game. What I can tell you about the Bengals-Chiefs game is the Bengals only scored 20 points, guys. Joe Burrow got sacked a lot in that game. Yeah, there was a penalty where... I can't think of the guy's name right now. He hit Mahomes late out of bounds, and that set them up in field goal range. That was a legitimate penalty. In what world would that not be a penalty? They were way out of bounds, and he hit him late. Just because your team loses does not mean the NFL is rigged. You got to get over it. Your team got outplayed. Mahomes is a really good quarterback. Really good quarterbacks play really well. And that's exactly what happened. Mahomes played really well. Final point I want to make is for the people who go, well, it has to be rigged because look at that amazing comeback that the Jaguars pulled off. How likely do you think that is? And all I can say to you is, I guess you never played sports growing up. You know how often that shit happens? I played Little League Baseball all the way until I think sophomore year of high school. Like recreational league baseball all the way until sophomore year of high school. At least twice a year, I'd be involved in a comeback of at least 1 to 2 comebacks, right? At least twice a year, there'd be a game where we're down by 6 runs late in the game, and then suddenly, we come back up, and we get all the way back up and catch back up. Or it happened to us. We'd get, we'd be up by 5 or 6 runs, and suddenly they're coming right back up on us. When I was in the Army, we were playing a flag football game, and we made it. Our team made it all the way to the championship, and in the championship, we were crushing this team by like 5-6 touchdowns, something obnoxious. In the second half, they caught all the way back up to us. We still won the game, but it was tight. Comebacks happen. If you've ever been involved in sports, it happens. I mean, it's obnoxious to say that the NFL is rigged just because of comebacks, or just because there's a bigger market team playing, or just because of this, or just because of that. Even if it's the same team consistently that we're seeing go to the championship or the Super Bowl or something like that, that doesn't mean the NFL is rigged. That just means maybe they have a good culture there. Maybe they've got a good system. All right, enough of that. I did post a complete satire article on NFL being rigged. You should check it out on vetsandbeer.com. vetsandbeer.com. That's right, we have a website. Also, follow us on social media. We have a Facebook at Vets and Beer. We have a TikTok at Vets and Beer. We have a Twitter at Vets and Beer. We have an Instagram at Vets and Beer. If you haven't noticed the theme, pretty much YouTube, of course, Vets and Beer. If you want to find us, Vets and Beer. That's a good way to go.